Now it is time to look at the big stories, the big political stories of the week. Joining me in the studio from Bondi Partners is former Howard Government Minister Peter McGauran. Morning, Peter. How are you?
Excellent, Tim. Glad to be with you.
Yes, absolutely. Great to have you in the studio. Now let's start with the opposition leader, Peter Dutton, doubling down on the No campaign. How has the appointment of Jacinta Price been received, do you think?
Very well received. Jacinta Price might be a new member of Parliament, but she's already had an impact because she gets back to basics, representing Indigenous problems and issues and attempts to solve them in a practical way. So it'll be a very good appointment for her professional career. I don't know that it will turn the dial on the voice debate, though.
Very strategic.
Very much so, in line also with Karen Liddle, who's an Aboriginal senator from South Australia in the Liberal Party, by both high-profile women, very qualified and credentialed and sincere and persuasive, taking the lead on a number of these Indigenous-specific issues, as well as, more generally, I think that represents the coalition in a very good light. But I still don't think either of them or both of them combined can change the fortunes of the coalition in regard to the voice.
Yeah, well, the polls have Anthony Albanese riding high. His approval rating in the Labor primary vote much higher than the election. Will that help the voice? Do you think
Very much so. It's critical to getting the voice across the line because he can draw on his political capital, Tim, and as you say, he's at the peak of his powers. The Liberal Party's primary vote's down to 28%, which is unheard of. The Liberal Party needs 41, 42% primary vote to win in an election because they don't get the preferences. They're a long way from getting back to government.
Has he surprised you a bit, Albo?
Yes, very much. Yep, I spent many years in the Parliament with Albo, and I know from Labor cabinet ministers, if you'd told any of us 10 years ago that Albo would be Prime Minister, we'd have laughed. But he's led himself to the position with dogged determination. He's grown in the job. There's still a toughness to him that shines through on occasions. He's got it under control at the moment, but it could come out at any time because he's very partisan, make no mistake. He's an ideologue if you scratch the surface. But to be fair to him, he's what Australians want at the moment. Reasonable, calm, disciplined, and I can't fault him on national security and defence issues. He's made me proud as an Australian to be represented by him overseas.
Yeah, without staying on it, it's authenticity as well. It's amazing how it's people who are authentic in whatever field are successful people. Now, just over a fortnight, we see this, the budget. What do you make, Jim Chalmers?
Oh, this is fascinating, isn't it? Because there's a black hole on defence spending and it looks like they're preparing the Defence Forces and the public to rob Peter to pay Paul. They're going to cut back on the Army. The Army's armoured capacity and their announced investments.
We've seen that this morning, haven't we?
We've seen that this morning. So, which I understand, and you, as Albanese said, we're not going to win a war fighting in armoured vehicles in Western Queensland. He wants the forward projection of power of nuclear submarines, aircraft, and other weaponry and hardware. But then there's the NDIS, the National Disability Insurance Scheme, black hole. Then there's the aged care and childcare, because they're both election promises, increase in wages and with 24-hour nurses and so on. So, look, this is really, really tough for the government.
Well, some of the rorting around the NDIS is a national disgrace, isn't it? From what we're reading.
Correct, and it has to be fixed. Bill Shorten was one of the devisers of the scheme as a junior minister. He's now in charge of it. There's no excuses on this, and this is what the Liberals should be on. There's so many issues core to their constituency and of interest to Middle Australia, but the Liberals are caught up in the voice. Every day it's the voice for the Liberals, and every day they're going further back. The voice will get up.
There's more than one horse in a race, isn't there?
Correct.
And I both know the United States. Donald is back on Instagram.
Yes, and doing very well, as you know, Tim. But the point is, Australians think he's a cartoon figure and a figure of fun. He might be both in some respects, but the fact is, in America, Trump is a substantive figure on policy and he represents many states. Remember, he got the highest number of votes in a presidential election, more than Obama, more than Reagan, except for one person, Joe Biden. Now, there is a pathway for Trump to come back because it doesn't matter that Biden beat him by 7 million votes in the popular vote. What matters are all those constitutional states, which then go into what's called the Electoral College. And he only lost 3 or 4 of them by a handful of votes. If he swings 3 or 4 small votes like New Mexico, Georgia, he can get back into the White House. So he is a serious player in America, and that's why he gets a lot of publicity, plus he's entertaining.
Thank God I didn't allow you to put your life on it last week. Thank God I didn't allow you to do that. You've got a lot of living left.
Yeah, can I withdraw? Trump is now a remote possibility.
Yeah, you're officially withdrawn. But the polls have him ahead. These polls have him ahead of Biden at the moment. And the talk this morning is that Joe Biden will announce that he will run over the next week or so.
Yeah, what a sad scenario, those two going head-to-head. Look, there is a surge in Trump support because of the treatment of the courts about him, because they just think it's a fix in his supporters and a lot of people in middle America, that there's one set of rules for Trump. There's always an inquiry. There's always a prosecution against Trump, none of which have been successfully concluded yet, and nothing against any of the Democrat figures, and not against the Biden family and Hunter Biden, who's a deviant personality, and some of his peccadillos are not suitable for morning broadcasting.
Outside our rating range.
Outside your rating range. He's on Air Force One going to Ireland with the president bold as brass. So the Americans see a double standard, and that's why a lot of them will support Trump, at least temporarily.
We'll bring it home just quickly. Does the Solicitor General's advice released yesterday, and it was quite long and protracted, involved, shift the balance of the debate on The Voice, do you think?
No. It's not the smoking gun the Liberals wanted. The Solicitor General supports The Voice and dismantles a number of the Liberal Party's attacks on The Voice, that the High Court will overrule executive government, and executive government will be brought to a halt. The Solicitor General says that won't happen. Now, the Liberals are saying there's a second legal opinion by the Solicitor General, but it's covered by Cabinet in confidence. I think you get into the weeds there. The fact is, this is a major setback for the no vote.
And you've got a legal mind. You're a solicitor barrister yourself. That was extensive.
It was. I still fear that the courts will get clogged up with challenges to the executive government, that it did not consult properly or fully, and I think the courts are very interventionist. So as a black letter lawyer, I do have serious concerns, but the Solicitor General doesn't. And there's not yet any constitutional lawyer of national or international fame that the opposition can produce who will dispute the Solicitor General's point of view. So I think one of the legs of the stool has just been cut off for the opposition. All
right, well, lightening the subject, we've seen the Autumn Carnival, and it was a raging success. 10-year anniversary of the championships, just fantastic. You are the chairman of the Australian Turf Club. We've got one show left for Racing Dreams today, and of course then we forecast ahead to the spring. How do you look back upon reflection over the past, say, month and a half?
Look, it's been a great success, a lot of hard work and dedication from everybody, whether they were serving drinks or food or manning the gates or preparing the marketing and development, and under the leadership of Peter V'landys and Racing New South Wales, we were able to finance the carnival and attract international competitors. There's no doubt in New South Wales there is a united industry and a great collaboration with the metropolitan and the country and provincial clubs. Look, it's really taking shape as one united team.
Yeah, and well done to you and Jamie Barkley as well, the ATC. Younger people coming through, because it's such a great sport. We love it.
We love it.
And younger people are getting a taste of it. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
We'll do it again next week.